On the 110th episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast, we're going to be talking a whole lot about some MLB news, including a potential 2027 MLB lockout. We have a couple NBA signings we're going to talk about, bringing the top 5 sports cities, and ending it off with some Hall of Fame, yay or nay. Roll it! Welcome to HatTrick Sports, starring your host, Isaiah Carpenter. Bringing you the biggest sports headlines every week. This is the HatTrick Sports Podcast. All right, let's get started with episode 110. We are going to start it off with the MLB news. Let's talk about this potential lockout and what a lot of misconceptions are with this new negotiations and contracts and stuff with this 2027 potential lockout everybody is scared of. So, let's wind it back a little bit. We're going to wind it back all the way to 1994. 1994, who won the World Series? Trick question. Nobody did, because the players were on strike. So, basically, in the business side of baseball, there's the MLB Players Association and the MLB owners who own each MLB team. They are all part of that. And then the MLBPA, which all the players are part of that. So, they're on two different sides. Rob Manfred is the head of the MLB owners. He's the commissioner. Now, this guy, Tony Clark, is the head of the MLBPA. So, we're going to take this back a notch. In 1994, basically what happened is that the players went on strike because the owners wanted a salary cap and the players didn't. So the players were like, hey, we're not going to play if we have to go with the salary cap. So they did. They ended up resolving it in 95, and then all went out good. In 2020, the same thing happened. Everybody's like, oh, look, it's a COVID season. No, it wasn't a COVID season. It was a lockout season. The MLB could play. They were just in a lockout, which sucked. So that is why it was a condensed 60-game season. It's because they basically did what they did in 94, except instead of the second half of the season, they did the first half of the season, and then the Dodgers ended up winning the World Series. So, basically that contract, the negotiation, is renewed in 2027. But Rob Manfred, the whole big headline the last month was that Bryce Harper went up to Rob Manfred, cussing him out about not talking about an MLB salary cap in front of the young guys, because the guys coming up like to hear, like, oh, there's going to be a salary cap, we're going to get paid more, because that would mean that there would more than likely be a higher minimum. So, what does that all mean? Why did I just explain all that? Well, that is because there is a lot of rumors going around that in 2027 we are going to get another lockout in 2027. That's what everybody's saying. That's what a lot of rumors are saying. And it is all because of a salary cap. So I have decided, hey, I will always side with the players on something like this, because I like the players. I'm grateful for the owners. They pay the players. But obviously, we're watching the players. And the owners are making their money from the players. And the owners have a bunch of money. But what the MLB... let me move here. What the MLB has is a luxury tax. It's called the Competitive Balance Tax, or the CBT. And basically what that is like a financial penalty on Major League Baseball teams whose payrolls exceed a predetermined threshold. It's set at $243 million for 2025. Now, teams that surpass this limit are taxed on an overage of escalating rates, which is 17.5% for the first 20 million over, 30% for the next 20 million, 42% for the next 42% for the next 20 million, and 45% for amounts beyond 60 million, with additional surcharges for repeat offenders. So it's not illegal. There's no salary cap. There's no salary cap in the MLB, but there's this luxury tax, the CBT, which I'm all for. I like the luxury tax more than a salary cap. I like the luxury tax more than a salary cap because it gives teams, the owners who care about their teams, who want to spend money for their teams, the opportunity to spend more money, but it does come at a little bit of a cost. So the teams like the Marlins, who only have $67 million worth of payroll, they have, like, the Dodgers are kind of getting penalized for that. They have to pay a little bit more just to make it fair for the Marlins. So what I say you do is, because I don't think it will I'm not going to say never. I cannot see a world where the Players Association would agree to a salary cap, especially the stars that you hear of: Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, all the highest paid players, which I think by 2027 will probably be somebody like Ellie De La Cruz or Mizrowski even. Then like these young guys kind of coming up. So I think, they obviously hate the salary cap idea because they're going to get paid less. But I think what the MLB should do, so they don't go into lockout, because nobody likes lockout. The players aren't being paid, the owners aren't being paid, and it's just a whole bunch of controversy in the MLB, which is not good. So what I say you do is that you raise the minimum, the floor, the minimum wage, not minimum wage, the floor, the salary floor, is that what it's called? The salary floor. So right now it's at like $750,000 a year. By 2027, let's say you raise that to $1 million a year. That's the floor. And then you set the luxury tax at a higher percentage, a more strict luxury tax. So still, like, if owners really, really want to spend money for their teams, they have the ability to without getting cut off. But they do have to pay that strong luxury tax in order for, I've lost my train of thinking. In order for the teams to kind of catch up to them, if that makes sense. So they're pushing. They're still allowed to push, except it's going to be harder to push while these other teams come up kind of easily to push. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think that's the ultimate solution because the owners aren't liking how it is now. They want to spend less money on players, but the players want to make more money and don't want there to be a cap. But the big misconception is obviously the big headline with Bryce Harper going up to Rob Manfred is people are saying Rob Manfred is Bryce Harper's boss, but he's not. If we look back, we see that Rob Manfred is the head of all owners and Tony Clark is the head of all players. So Bryce Harper is in those players and Tony Clark and the MLBPA wise is in charge of Harper and they're on opposing sides. So I don't get why people are saying that Rob Manfred is Bryce Harper's boss because he's not. I don't get why people are saying that. I really don't. So I don't think that it will go into a lockout. I think that the MLBPA, Tony Clark and Rob Manfred are smarter than that, and the amounts of money that they're actually losing from a lockout is far more significant than a salary cap. And the owners in general, I guess, like they got to realize, like, hey, there's no ticket sales, there's no merch sales, there's no advertising sales, there's no nothing without the players or games in a lockout. So that's just my long hot take on that. I don't think it'll happen. Make a stricter luxury tax if you want, but raise the floor. Don't ever, and I mean ever, I think it would be a horrible idea, and I know that some other leagues do it. In the MLB, it will not work. Don't ever put a salary cap unless it's at like $500 million. Like right now, I think that the Dodgers are at high 200s to low $300 million a year as their total salary in payroll, and I think the Marlins are at like 67, and those are on two completely different parts of the spectrum. But yeah, if you want the Marlins to catch up and you want to be more stricter on the Dodgers, just tax them more. I mean, Guggenheim doesn't care. I can almost promise you. They'll care, but like if they have to, they would. I think that's the agreement. Basically, all I'm saying, luxury tax, make it stricter if you want. I don't want that, but if to compromise, make that stricter. Don't make a salary cap, and then make the minimum the floor higher. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, let's talk about the trade deadline. I went over all the trades and stuff last week. Check out our TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for all of that. But the big thing for the trade deadline, the big team, in my opinion, is the Twins. I mean, they gave up almost everybody. Oh, my goodness. They gave up 10 players off of their 26-man roster. And if we go looking at the MLB standings, we will see that they are 13 games back from the Royals. I wanted the playoffs up here too. But basically, the Twins are more than likely not going to make the playoffs this year, so they just sold everybody. 10 of their 26 guys. Twins fans, I mean, watching on Twitter, Twins fans it was kind of hilarious to watch. They got rid of so many people. They got rid of Carlos Correa, Juan Duran, one of their best closer, Carlos Correa, Griffin Jacks, Luis Varland, Harrison Bader, Willie Castro. Who else to get rid of? Brock Stewart to the Dodgers, Chris Paddock, Ty France. They got rid of 10 of their 26-man roster. But they did keep Joe Ryan and Byron Buxton. So maybe if they try to make a run for it next year, try to make a run for the playoffs next year, they have the ability to. Bader and Willie Castro were going into free agency, so they will be considered as rentals this year. But, like, I have a feeling they don't really care about winning anymore. Do the Twins not care about winning? I haven't met a person that really hates the Twins. If we're being honest, Tigers fans, no, don't really hate the Twins. Guardians fans might hate the Twins a little bit, but there's not too much. The Royals, basically the Guardians and Royals should be the only two teams that somewhat hate the Twins. But other than, not many people are Royals and Guardians fans. Let's be completely honest here. But other than that, nobody really hates the Twins. But yeah, they just don't really care about winning. That's what I'm getting out of this, is that they don't really care about winning. They're 5.5 games out of the wild card race, but it's just wow. I knew they were going to be sellers, but 10 of their 26 guys, I'm not good at math. 10 divided by 26. They gave up over 38% of their active roster at the trade deadline. And it was all great players. Byron Buxton is good to keep in Joe Ryan. But other than that, who else do they have? It's a completely new team. Same with the Padres, except the Padres bought a lot, but got rid of their whole farm system. The Padres in 5 years are going to be absolute buns, man. Absolutely horrible. I just don't think it's worth it for the Twins. I think that was the biggest shock for me. And the Dodgers. The Dodgers didn't do anything this year. But, hey, we won the World Series last year. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, let's talk about the MLB. MLB players did a poll where basically MLB on Fox asked them a whole bunch of questions, and the results were interesting. The results were interesting in this MLB player poll. So the first question was, what player would you most want to be teammates with? 41% of guys said Aaron Judge. 11%, that huge gap down to 11%, went to Shohei Ohtani. 6% said Clayton Kershaw, which is still I understand he's a veteran and everybody kind of looks up to him, but that shocked me. 6% said Kyle Schwarber, Tariq Skubal, Mike Trout, Bobby Witt Jr., all of that. Yeah, all those guys were all at 6%. The next question was, are you for or against automatic ball strike system? And I think both batters and pitchers want. Actually, I don't think that. So I'll show you the results first. The results show that 85.7% are for the ABS system, and 14.3% say that they are against it. Now, I think that the only really guys that are against it are catchers, because obviously framework. That is going to be a lost part of the game, which I'm somewhat upset about. But frames are going to mean nothing. But then, they get to work on maybe some more important, or maybe get to broaden their skill set, I guess. But I don't really get who's against the ABS other than catchers, and maybe some pitchers who try to paint the plate a little bit, get a little edge on the outside or something like that. But I think that's about the percentage that I assume. Maybe a little bit lower would be against it. The next question was, who is the most underrated player? Now, who determines the rated player is sports media, and I think sports media doesn't do a great job with it. You hear the big names, and I'm with that too. I'm guilty of that too. But you hear the names Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, all these big guys, and then you don't really hear about the smaller guys. But 23.1% of guys said Jose Ramirez, 7.7% said Juan Soto, who actually hasn't been doing as bad as people have been saying. I don't know why everybody's saying he's doing horrible. He's actually not doing that bad. Steven Kwan, which I think is properly rated. I wanted Steven Kwan to go to the Dodgers. I wanted Sandy Alcantara and Steven Kwan to go to the Dodgers. Neither of them ended up getting traded at all, which was stunning to me. Jonathan Aranda, Joe Ryan, Luke Raley, Otto Lopez, Zach Neto, Luis Severino. Yeah, I guess he is kind of underrated. Framber Valdez and Aaron Judge. Again, who's calling Aaron Judge underrated? If anybody, at Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And then the next question was, what ballpark has the best atmosphere? 20% of the guys said Yankee Stadium. 16% said Citizens Bank Park. 16% said Dodger Stadium, which I can say has one of the best atmospheres out of any sports venue, not just in the MLB. Then 12% Wrigley Field. You have Fenway, Petco, Daikin, Citi Field, and then Rogers Center. The next question was, what was the most surprising team this season? And I agree with this list fully, actually. Not fully. I agree with the first few. So the Tigers, you have the Tigers, Brewers, Marlins, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Rays. I agree with all of those. The Astros, I guess, in a negative way, I somewhat agree with that. Angels, I don't get. I think that wasn't surprising. I think they're the same as what everybody expected. The Braves, I can kind of see, and then the Cubs, I guess, are a little better than anticipated at the beginning of the season. Next question was, what organization would you least want to play for? And this shocked me. So obviously, this part didn't shock me. 44.4% of the players said the Chicago White Sox, which obviously it's the White Sox. They are horrible. They have horrible organization, horrible literally everything. 11.1% said the Marlins, which was a little bit weird because if you go back, you saw that the most surprising team this season, the Marlins, were in third place of that. So, I don't really fully get that. The Phillies, you don't want to play for the Phillies. The Guardians, Yankees, and then you have any California team. That didn't make any sense to me at all. I don't get if it was like, I don't get it. I don't get any California team. I just don't get that part. I don't know if that was like a joke. I don't know. But yeah, those were just some player polls that they did over the MLB All-Star break, and I thought I would, check them out, let you guys know what I thought about them. But more MLB news. The Astros and Red Sox got into a bench clearings last night. So basically, and listen to this. Hold on. Listen to this. Zoom into me. The Astros were mad that another team was trying to steal signs. What are we on, man? The Astros were mad that the Astros were mad because they thought that the Red Sox were stealing their signs. So basically, the Red Sox third base coach was allegedly looking in on signs or ball placement, or I don't even know what. He was looking in at something and relaying the signs to the batter or the runner, which would then relay to the other guy. I don't know I don't know exactly who was relaying. I don't exactly know what the third base coach was looking at, but Hector Neris, the pitcher for the Astros, was not happy. And again, I think it's funny that the Astros are mad at another team for stealing signs in a completely legal way, by the way. Like, they didn't use cameras, they didn't use buzzers, they didn't use fake tattoos, they didn't use any of that. They did it completely legally, and they wanted a bench clearance. Now, what the Astros argument could be, and I haven't talked to an Astros fan about this, is that Alex Cora was on the 2017 Astros, and he was part of the sign stealing scandal. So that is what, if I was an Astros fan, that was what my defense would be. But still, they're doing it legally. There was no need for the bench clearance. There was no need to go after Trevor Story. There was no need to do any of that. But yeah, it's funny. Like, the Astros, who cheated for a World Series, MVP titles. Who won the Cy Young in 2017? Young. Was it Oh, no, Kluber won that year. All right, I thought Verlander won that year for some reason. 1 second. We're going to go through this. MVP, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. Where's Cy Young? And AL Cy Young. Yeah, it was Kluber. But Verlander was 5th. But the amount of awards and series and playoffs and ultimately franchises that they cheated in 2017 through 2019, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. The amount of things that they took away from other teams, and now they want to illegally, they stole the signs illegally, remember that part, and now they're mad at the Red Sox for allegedly looking in at their signs legally. I just think that's kind of ironic. But again, like I said, Alex Cora was on the 2017 Astros as a bench coach, so there is a little bit of correlation there. But yeah, like, come on, dude. You guys cheated on a World Series, and now you're gonna get mad at like a non-division rival for taking your signs legally, and then going after Trevor Story and all of that. Like, it was just so unnecessary. It was so unnecessary, and I just thought it was ironic. I thought it was crazy. All right. Hey, somebody gave me the best comparison of Anthony Volpe this last week. I heard somebody say that the 2025 Anthony Volpe is the equivalent to the 2019 Jameis Winston. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean by that? And he said, look at the home runs to errors ratio of Anthony Volpe and look at the touchdowns to interceptions to Jameis Winston and obviously the respective years. I was like, what? So I go and look, and we see that so far this year, Anthony Volpe has 17 home runs in 2025. And if we go to his fielding stats, we see that he has 16 errors. All right, so keep those numbers in mind when you hear Jameis Winston's stats. Jameis Winston in 2019 had 13 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. It was the best comparison I've ever heard. Oh my goodness. After looking it up and talking to him, bro, I was like, bro, that is a genius comparison. That is Anthony Volpe is the modern day Jameis Winston of 2025. This is wild to think about. I just thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a hilarious comparison because it's true. It is so true. All right, let's go over an MLB. Oh, sorry, I cannot speak today. I don't know what it is. Last week was fine. This week, unbelievable. But Jacob Mizorowski is on the 15-day IL for 1 second. Let me go to the tab here. Jacob Mizorowski is on the 15-day IL from a left tibia contusion. So Jacob Mizorowski, who is one of the best up-and-coming pitchers in the MLB, took a liner to the shin off the bat of Suzuki in the first inning of his start on Monday. And later in the same inning, after fielding a dribbler in front of the mound, Mizorowski's knee buckled as he threw wildly to first, and then two runners ended up scoring. So he was supposed to pitch today. Actually, right now, first pitch is in 30 minutes. He was supposed to pitch today, but he's not pitching. He's on the 15-day IL. For again, nothing too serious. I don't think it's going to be too serious, but he has been unbelievable. He's obviously an all-star. That was a whole big thing last month. But he has 4-1 with 47 strikeouts and 33 and a third innings this season. But the Brewers called up Logan Henderson from AAA in Nashville, and he is expected to start today. Yeah. Oh, no. That's... Yeah, they're talking about it actually right now as we're speaking of it. But I think he's going to be fine. And again, I hope everybody was giving him backlash for something not his fault. Everybody was giving him backlash for making the All-Star game, which how are you going to blame a player for something that they don't get to choose if they do? Like, I don't get that. But he's a great guy. He's obviously a great guy. He's a great athlete, and I'm hoping when he comes back, he shoves even harder. And I think he'll be fine. I think it's just a slight setback for the Brewers right now. Let's go over MLB standings. MLB standings. Here we are. So we are after the trade deadline. So what your team has is what your team will have for the rest of the season. Let's go with the AL East. The Yankees. The Yankees lose. The Yankees are 4.5 games back. They are in third place in the AL East. They just lost 2 straight to the Marlins. I think that they'll win today, though, in the third game. The Rays are 5.5 games behind the Yankees, and then the Orioles way back there, 13.5 games back. They gave up some guys at the trade deadline as well. Cedric Mullins, some other guys to who else they gave up? They gave up somebody else to the Padres. In the AL Central, you have the Tigers still leading by a wide margin. The Guardians are 8 games behind the Tigers. Then you have the Royals, 1.5 behind the Guardians. Twins, few games back. And then the White Sox, again, which 44.4% of players say that they that the White Sox would be the worst organization to play for. In the AL West, the Astros are leading by 3.5 games. The Mariners right behind. The Rangers right behind them. The Angels, again, the Angels are doing better than last season, but, they are still 9 games behind the Astros. And then you have the Athletics, 14 games back. Again, they're doing better than last season as well. In the NL East, you have the Mets. The Mets have taken the lead against the Phillies. They are a half game ahead of the Phillies. The Marlins 8 games behind the Mets. Braves, they were at 500. Now they are not even close. They are at 422, 16 games back. And then you have the Nationals 18.5 games back. And the NL Central, again, the Brewers, who just lost Mizorowski, is 2 games ahead of the Cubs. The Reds are 6.5 games behind them. Cardinals few games back, and then the Pirates are a lost cause. And then in the NL West, oh boy, I didn't even realize that. In the NL West, you have the Dodgers, who are leading by 3 games ahead of the Padres. Giants 6 games behind that. Diamondbacks 12 games behind the Dodgers, and then the Rockies, who have had a great last few weeks. Give it up for the Rockies. The Rockies are 33.5 games back. They are still not going to even be close to the playoffs. But they have won 6 of their last 10 games, which you got to be proud for them. They are now 30-80, which is much better than they were. A lot of people were saying that they weren't even going to win 44 games this season, but here we are. And they are definitely going to win at least 44 games here now. But yeah, that's a little MLB update. Let's move on to the top 5 sports cities. Let's move on to the top 5 sports cities. At number 5. Oh, no, let's start off by this. So there has been a lot of, I don't know, it's just like this TikTok trend of people saying, what are the top 4 cities in America? Yeah, guess what? We're going to step it up a notch. What are the top 4 cities in sports? And number 5, you have Chicago. You have the Cubs and White Sox. You have the Blackhawks, Bulls, and Bears. The Bulls itself obviously carry that dynasty and will always kind of be the head of Chicago. In the 2010s, the Blackhawks had their little stint there for a few things. And then just Wrigley Field itself. Wrigley Field in Chicago, that obviously gives Chicago some points. And Soldier Field as well. And then, the fans. Chicago fans are just, they're Chicago fans. They are diehard Chicago fans. At number 4, you have Philadelphia. You have the Phillies, Flyers, 76ers, and Eagles. This probably could have been at number 5. Chicago could have been at number 4, but whatever. We made this list before. But the Philly fans, it's all you have diehard Eagles fans. You have diehard Flyers fans, you have diehard 76ers fans, you have diehard Phillies fans, and usually it comes in a group. If you're a Philly fan, you're usually a fan of all 4 teams. So that's why it's at number 4. At number 3, it's up to you. New York, you have the Yankees, you have the Mets, you have the Rangers, you have the Islanders, you have the Knicks, you have the Nets, you have the Giants, you got the Jets. Yo, call me Dr. Seuss. You have the Yankees, got the Mets, you got the Rangers, got the Islanders, you got the Knicks, got the Nets, got the Giants, got the Jets. That kind of Nets and Jets rhyme. But yeah, just because of the amount of teams in New York, and you're not going to count Buffalo, but you could put the Bills in there. But the Yankees, obviously, one of the biggest franchises in all of sports. Knicks and Nets, Giants, Jets. I mean, the team, out of all of the teams, they have been on a downward slope recently. I mean, literally all of these teams have just gone down recently. But the franchises like the Yankees and Giants just are at a different level. At number 2, you have Los Angeles. You got the Dodgers, Kings, Lakers, Clippers, Rams, and Chargers. I mean, obviously the Dodgers, the greatest team in all of sports history. So that is why it's partially at number 2. Again, hashtag not biased. The Lakers also hold a big dynasty aspect of this. The Chargers, I mean, San Diego, I don't really know if I would count the Chargers as in there, but the Chargers are technically in there. But large market, you have the celebrity, and like not endorsement, but the celebrity as fans, just massive media influence throughout the Los Angeles sports, just because they are in Los Angeles. And then the number 1, the greatest sports city in the entire world has to be Boston. You have the Red Sox, you got the Bruins, you got the Celtics, you got the Patriots. Yes, we put the Patriots in there. 12 major titles since 2000 across all 4 leagues. Just the fan loyalty between, especially the Patriots, especially when Tom Brady was there. You got the Celtics, the Red Sox. The Bruins are probably last in there. But the historic franchises, the Red Sox and Celtics. TD Garden and Fenway Park, iconic venues. And that is why it's at number 1. Let's move on to NBA news. NBA signings. Luka Doncic reaches a 3 years, $165 million extension with the Lakers. Oh my goodness, to think that he could still be on the Mavs right now. But it's a $165 million maximum contract extension with the player option in 2028, according to his agent. This will keep him out of free agency for next summer and eliminating the 2026-2027 player option in place of the new contract. Doncic can opt out in 2028 and sign a new deal for 35% of the salary cap, which projects in 5 years to be $417 million. And if he does that, Doncic would recoup all money lost when he was traded from the Mavericks, which he was then eligible to sign a 5-year, $315 million Supermax extension, which would have been this summer. But yeah, that's basically it. I think it was the first day to sign him. I think it was yesterday, yesterday, August 2nd, and they just wanted to secure him. The Lakers are going to try to make a run for it. Let's look up the NBA standings from last season. Yeah, we got to go to the West. So yeah, they were third in the Western Conference last year. They were, what are they? Yeah, they were 18 games. Well, obviously the Thunder were heavy in front, but they were 18 games in front or behind the Thunder. But they're going to try to make a push for it. Maybe get ahead of the Rockets this upcoming season. And I think with doing so, Luka Doncic would be a major, major help with that. All right, that is going to do it for the 110th episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast. Make sure you follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Huge news coming next week. Huge news coming next week. Hopefully next week. It might be the week after. But make sure to stay tuned for that. Make sure you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google Podcasts, even your Amazon Alexa, YouTube for all the visuals. And we'll see you guys next week for episode 111.